Hey, y'all. This is Mama from Dry Creek Wrangler School. Dry Creek Mama. It looks a little different, and I'll explain all of that in just a minute. But thank you for joining me. I know I have not put any content out in a while. Waylon's come and say hi. Because we obviously have moved. We're in beautiful Wyoming now, and we're really loving it out here. We have moved the school out here. I think most of you probably already know that because you follow Dwayne on Dry Creek Wrangler School over on his channel. But anyway, today I have a couple of special guests with me. They're my new friends. Before I get started on who they are and what they do, y'all know that I was a stay-at-home mom for all of the years. I had my babies and then I stayed at home, and just that was my job, full-time job. And there's a lot of ladies out there who, you know, they have a baby or two or three and they go with the whole career route. They get a job, put the baby in daycare, put baby in school, and that's how they do that side of it. But there's not a whole lot of stories out there about wives and moms who do both. They find that balance in the middle of momming and career life together. I don't feel like there's a lot of content about that. And these two ladies do it. And they're here with their husbands just this week visiting us. This is all their equipment because they have a podcast called Under the Sun Podcast. So we have Aileeah and Irene, and I kept calling them Aileeah. Both of them.
No.
Mixed their
Aileen
yeah. all week, and I finally got their names straight, and they're leaving.
I like it though.
Tomorrow.
We have a celebrity name.
Yeah,
Eileen. That's our combo celebrity name.
So if you get a chance, you can go listen to their podcast Under the Sun, where they talk about everything under the sun. But they cover topics. I just went and found their podcast, so they've got some on self-defense and child birth, marriage, communication, some things like that. So I'm anxious to go listen to some of their stuff. They're genuine, real folks. Their kids are great, and they both have a career with their husbands, and they're both moms. So I just wanted to have a conversation with them before they leave tomorrow, and maybe ask them a few questions and get their input on balancing that life. Mostly that. But we did go riding today, and they hadn't been on horses in...
Probably 15 years?
Okay.
Yeah.
Longer?
I think, well, we went for a 1 hour ride maybe like 3 years ago.
Okay.
But then before that, it was maybe 15 years.
Yeah. So we had a great time.
It was awesome.
They rode right because their backsides are hurting.
Yep.
Abs a little bit.
Abs a little.
So we burned like 600 calories and did good. And then we went out to eat.
Yeah. Sounds like a great...
So we had a great time. And they got cowboy hats.
Yeah.
From King's Saddlery in Sheridan. Looking spiffy. And, okay, so let's get on. I had my questions down. So first I wanted to know what got you started on the podcast. Who did you guys just kind of talk about it together? How did it get going?
Yeah, well, Aileeah had started the podcast a couple years ago. At the same time, I was kind of starting a business, so I'm new to this season of the podcast. But
yeah,
you want to elaborate
so
on that? So
technically, like, this is like season 3 of our podcast.
Right.
I've always wanted to start a podcast. Actually, it was originally a discussion of like her and I to start a podcast, but she had 2 very, very little kiddos and was just starting a business. And so I was like, well, I want to start it. So another friend jumped on, and then her mom life got really busy too. And I was like, well, I still want to do it. And then Reem was like, I have the bandwidth now. Like, I really want to do something for myself. And because like she's puts a lot of her energy into work and then kids and husband and all the stuff. She's like, I want something for me, and that we're best friends as well. I don't know if you've picked up on that. We're sister-in-laws, but also best friends. So being able to do something together and also check something off the to-do list has been a whole lot of fun.
That's really cool.
And we want to help girls who are maybe a little bit younger than us, like kind of just be maybe a voice of like, hey, you know, it's okay for things to be hard or whatever the scenario is.
Well, that's what I did. That's why I started mine.
That's why we love your channel.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, that's why I just wanted, you know, to take all of my experiences and share them, because it doesn't do us a lot of good to just hold on to them or hermit away. You know,
Yeah.
that's what we experience things for.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite podcast that you did?
Oh, like together?
Man.
Yeah. Like on your Under the Sun podcast, do you have one that really stands out to you as being your favorite one?
I have one. Do you have one?
You go first because I.
So we interviewed a guy named Dean Hefta. He has a communication course that we all took as a like we were newlyweds, and we were all working at the same company at the same time at the time. And I would say that interview with him was like a pivotal moment, because like that guy's communication course changed our life, because it really revolutionized how I saw my husband, and how like he isn't. Sorry, husband who's listening, but he's not judgy or like thinking I'm not smart, because he's like, okay, when we go tomorrow to do this thing, we need to do this, and this. And Leah, you need to do this, and this. And I'm like, stop barking orders at me. I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. And this guy taught me that like, no, like that's just his communication style is like, it's actually more about him wanting to feel prepared and smart and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's my favorite podcast, because I feel like, I don't know, that guy really changed my life. And I love the thought of talking to him and asking questions that hopefully his message and teachings could go to our audience.
That's cool. I can't wait to hear that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I think the whole experience of this podcast this year has just been such like a light to my life and schedule. That's been a little bit heavy lately, schedule wise. And we have a couple where I can't even tell you what the episodes are about, but a couple times we've laughed so hard that if you're listening to the podcast and not watching, it's a good 30 seconds to 2 minutes of silence because we're laughing so hard. And anytime we're laughing like that, I know when I would watch other YouTube videos of just friends laughing, you can't help but laugh with them.
Yeah.
And that always made me happy. So the thought that I get to do
cool.
any podcast with my friend where we laugh so hard you can't hear us. Is,
Yeah.
just bring joy to my
tears,
soul. Yep.
tears
Yep.
falling. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you balance your momming and your career and everything. So I know a little bit about your background. So maybe tell us what you want about a little bit about your background and how you changed that. Why did you decide to have a baby? Why'd you even decide to get married and have a baby and change that whole lifestyle?
All right,
And
buckle
just
up.
share what you want, and and then we'll see what you say. But we want to experience it.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. So I've been with my husband for 11 years now. We've been married for 7. We have an 11-month-old, so we waited for quite a while to have our child. But prior to that, he's been my guitar player. I've been a touring musician, touring all around the country. And actually, she was my backup singer for a long time before she had kids. So there's another tie-in. But we toured around the country performing music and loved it. But kind of similar to like you guys' story about how you're grateful and blessed that like you actually didn't maybe get as much success in the beginning because you were ready, or I wasn't the person I am now. Like I was not secure in myself. I was not confident in what I wanted. But had a little bit of success touring. And that's actually why I have 2 dogs, is because I had the desire to have a kid about 2 years into marriage. And I was like, nope, I'm going to tour. And everyone tells me that if I have a kid, it's going to ruin everything. So I'm just going to get a dog instead. And so I got Ryman and she's wonderful, love her. And then, 2 years after that, I was like, oh, I want a kid again. And I'm like, oh, nope, I don't have time for that. Because, people tell you that, you're it's wrong. And I think it's totally not accurate. They say your life is over when you have a kid. Like you're just gonna be so, so I believe that I let those thoughts and someone else's perception take root in me. And I didn't even realize it because I had that anxiety of, thinking that a child would ruin my life. And then COVID hit and touring came to a complete halt. And, my health hit a rock bottom, and I was like, I had a whole beard of acne because basically I had run myself into the ground with working. I was working full-time for a production company, touring full-time, and working, leading worship on the weekends. And so I hit rock bottom at 2020, and I was like, okay, who am I? What do I want to do? Long story short, ended up working for an agriculture company, filming for them, because COVID slowed things down. And anyways, all this long story short, decided to have a baby, and got pregnant on the first try, which was really wonderful because I've done fertility tracking for a long time. And my whole world changed. Great pregnancy, 26-hour labor, 15-inch head. And she it was the veil was very thin for me spiritually, like in labor. I don't know if that was like it for you guys, but like I felt very, like I remember saying like, God, like I know you're here. Like I need strength from you like right now. Gave birth to her and my whole world just came into focus.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be like, I don't know. I didn't think it would be that good. I didn't think I would love like that.
Right.
And actually I think it has propelled my career because I'm more focused with the time I do have.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I hope that answered your question, but that's a quick summary of the last
Right.
6 years.
Awesome.
But
Yeah. And then we'll take your summary and then we'll talk about how you guys balance it now.
Yeah. So I had always wanted kids. I remember being at a family reunion. I was 12, 13, and someone said, "Oh, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I was like, "Well, I just want to grow up and have kids and be a wife." And I remember them saying, "Oh, you're too smart for that." And
I
it's
heard that too.
It's a sad thing because it's something not great to speak to the younger generation that is so, they're absorbing a lot, and whether they agree with it or not at the time, those words stick. So, kind of same thing. I pushed that out of my brain. Well, there's a lot to do and the world's so big and I got to go do all these things.
Yeah.
And I'm a hairstylist by trade. Love doing it. Still do it now. And I've had a lot of people say, well, would you ever stay home with the kids? And I don't think I would because it's in my, every fiber of my being. I just love doing it.
Yeah.
So, I married her brother, almost 9 years ago. We've been together for 14 years, maybe something like that. And we had talked early on because he's very entrepreneurial. And he said, look, when we get married, I don't want kids for at least 5 years. And I was like, great, we've got things to do, the world to see. Well, same thing. Not very long after that, just need to have a baby came in.
Yeah.
But wanted it to be fair. I have a lot of friends. I was the younger end of my friend group to have kids. And a lot of my friends who did have kids said, okay, you'll just know what's right when both of you are on the same page. So I thought, okay, I won't push it. I didn't get a dog. I almost got a cat, but wasn't allowed to. But just something to distract me from wanting a baby.
Right.
But at the time, he's like, okay, I think I'm ready for a baby. We went ahead and had my son. And then 6 months later, a salon had shut down and gone out of business in our area, but left all the stuff behind. So it was pretty much... It needed a lot of repair, but mostly a turnkey salon. All the stations were there, the dryers were there, everything that we needed for a full salon and spa was there. It's a 44,000 square foot building.
Okay.
And by the time we opened it, it was me and one other girl, and that's it for such a huge space. But the salon had prior to that been super successful. So I'm like, okay, as long as it's ran the right way, this has all of the blueprints for something I could work at and do what I love, but wouldn't have to work 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And before we bought the business, I told my husband, whatever our decision is for buying this business, I want the kids to be here. I don't want to sacrifice their childhood for my career because there's still something just in me from, I'm guessing birth, but a young age that knew I wanted to be a mom. And I knew I didn't want to have this baby to let someone else raise.
Right.
And, he kind of looked at me and said, okay, like, that's fine. We can make that happen. There's a basement here. We flipped it into the children's nursery, but he kind of looked at me because I said kids. And I was like, oh, and I want the kids 2 years apart. And I don't think he thought I was completely serious, but they're 1 month short of being 2 years apart.
Neat.
And I scheduled clients when my daughter was born around her feeding time. So I was still able to go downstairs every couple hours and be with the kids. And that's where we are now. Now things have gotten pretty well with the salon. I've been able to pull my schedule back a little and have more time for the podcast, have more time for the kids. And we really loved listening to all of your videos. I'm really interested in learning more from you about homeschooling because my son turns 4. So I've realized with all these stages of motherhood and business and balance, it's like a rocking ship on the ocean. Like you always have to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
So we'll see what this next year looks like when I'm trying to balance homeschool, motherhood, and business. I'm sure it'll shift, but
well, the advantage of homeschooling for sure is your own schedule and your own time and your own way.
Mhm.
You know, you're not looking at 8 hours of school a day.
Mhm.
When you homeschool, we would almost always be done by noon.
Yeah.
I mean, and we wouldn't even start till 9.
Mhm.
And my kids are very successful. They all graduated. They're all smart. So yeah, you can do it your own way. But yeah, I am hoping to get some homeschool videos out because I have been asked
That will be so
for
helpful.
more
Yes.
on
Yep.
that.
We've been asked about that too.
And we can't speak to it
yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So were you homeschooled the whole time?
the whole time.
And I was
Oh, okay.
partially homeschooled, partially Christian school, but
Okay.
same curriculum. So it was
Okay.
kind of like homeschooling in a
Yeah.
building. But
See, I have been like I homeschooled my kids. I've worked in public school and a
wow.
private school,
okay.
and so I saw all the differences.
Yeah.
I saw the advantages, the disadvantages. So you know, I mean, that's like a whole nother topic. Whole nother topic. Anyway, when you said about when you had your baby, how it just everything changed. Like
Yeah.
you just knew. That was what it was like for me. But I felt that like almost the minute I knew I was pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant. In fact, we'd been married like 2 weeks, and I was hoping to get pregnant right away. And you know, I knew I wasn't. So I sat there and I cried. And Dwayne woke up and he's like, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Because I'm not pregnant." And he's like, "Honey, we've been married for 2 weeks. Give it some time. It's okay." And then like a week later, I got pregnant. And so anyway, I felt it. Like I would feel the baby grow and I'd feel the kicking and I'm like, I don't understand how anybody can not love their children or I couldn't understand it. So it was like that for me. And I was addicted to my kids.
Yeah.
Like
Pe-
way over
People have
addicted.
asked me, because I post on social media, like I have about, I'm like, man, like, you know, just the audios that are trending about like, you know, like, oh, motherhood and how wonderful it is. I'm like, seriously? They're like, do you really like love it as much as you post about it? I was like,
Yeah.
I love it. I was like, it's hard. I'm not going to lie to you.
No.
It's difficult. And
hard.
sometimes I'm like, ooh, I screwed up. Today was not my day. Like I was not a good parent today, but man, I thought women were lying. I thought they were lying about how much they loved their kids. I thought it was, I don't know. I just had a really bad belief system that I didn't realize I had until I had her.
Well, I didn't have a good childhood. I did not have that whole stability, the love and the family and everything. And so when I became a mom and I got to experience that, I went really overboard with it. I guess I was trying to compensate for the lack of it in my childhood. But okay, so let's talk about how you balance. Like now you work with your husbands on, like you have the salon and I'm not even clear completely on your guys' jobs and what you do and how you do it.
Neither are we.
I look at it like I've seen you guys here and I'm just like, wow, I'm really impressed because your kids are really well behaved. They're great. And they're cute.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Really cute. So, you know, just, I don't even really know what to ask, but like, I know there's a lot of probably women out there who want that balance. They still want to work. Maybe they want to get an income, but they want kids. And so I'd like more information on that for those ladies.
I would say it's, like I said, it's the waves are always moving. And there are some days where I cry the entire way home from work because I spent the day working. And then there's some days where I'm doing hair, and not that I forget that I have kids, but Dad's got them. They're fine. I'm doing my thing. I'm having a great day. So I would say it's not, I don't know that I've actually found that balance either.
So your husband watches the kids.
He does
when
watch
you're
the
working.
kids. That was a big thing, is we didn't want his job. So he owns a video production company. He's able to cluster film, something like this week where we came out here to film for a few solid days. And then I'd say for every hour of filming, there's 3 or 4 hours of just sitting behind a computer with that same hour. So he's able to work from home with the kids.
Right.
At this age, at least, when they're still little and can play with toys. We'll see when the homeschooling kicks in if that changes. But we've had a nanny off and on, still kept the kids close to us or in the same building as us. So he watches them now. And that's, I think, the only reason that I'm okay being away as much as I am is it's okay. They're with Dad. How many kids get to spend this many hours with their dad at such an early age? But I don't know. Part of it is not wanting someone else to raise my kids. But I don't
when
know
you
that I
say
found the
that,
balance.
So like, let's say there's young ladies out there who are like, I'm scared to get married because I know in today's society, in the income, the way inflation is happening and everything, we're going to have 2 incomes. I have student debt. He's going to have student debt, or he wants a career.
Yeah.
And that means I can't stay, maybe I can't stay home. Maybe
Yeah.
but that's what they want.
Yeah.
Would you encourage them to what? Like, I would just make sure you communicate with each other before you even start dating someone. If you're showing interest in a guy or he's showing interest in you, be sure you guys are on the same page as to your futures. Like that's me and Dwayne were very clear on that. I said, I want to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. And he's like, well, that's what I want. So that's important.
It is very important.
Is that what you guys kind of did?
Kind of. I know when we were early dating, he had mentioned, hey, I know we're starting to date, and we grew up in a certain way where you met someone, you got married right away. That was the standard for both ways we were raised. And he said, hey, I just want to let you know, I have no plans of getting married for 5 years. Well, at the time, I was like, great, me neither. That's fine. And then about 3 years in, I'm like, okay, clock's ticking. We got things to do. But he was very upfront right away. And I'm pretty much go with the flow. And I was like, well, I like this guy. I have no other plans. He seems adventurous, kind, and hardworking. So let's do it. But he was very open it took me a while before I was more open with what I wanted, because he had to kind of pull it out of me. And he's actually the one that convinced me to pivot careers and do hair.
Okay.
Which was super sweet. He's been my biggest fan since the beginning. But
that's important.
It is. It is.
You don't see that a lot in marriages. It seems like they're not each other's fans.
Yeah.
You should be your spouse's biggest fan.
Or some spouses don't even know what their spouse does for a living.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't.
I have had those
I
conversations.
can't even fathom that.
I can't either. Yeah.
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 But the balance, like I said, with the salon before we started that business, I was very clear, like, hey, I don't want someone else raising the kids. I don't want them to grow up and say, well, mom liked her career more than me.
Yeah.
And so we worked together to make that happen.
That's really good advice. I like that
But
a lot.
I don't know about as far as what I would tell someone with student loans. We're very unconventional.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if you don't already have a student loan, don't get one.
Unless
but if you already have
you
one and you're
field.
Unless you're like, you need like a medical degree.
Yeah.
Like
college.
If it helps, when I got this job as the lead video person at an agriculture company, I beat out 99 candidates, all with degrees. I don't have a degree in videography. And so like,
okay,
a degree doesn't always help you.
No, it doesn't.
So that's,
Yeah.
might be too late. Maybe you've already have the loan, but
Yeah.
also like, just pay off the debt, like work really hard for a couple of years, like have that goal. Like it's really great to have a mission with your partner and say like, or your husband or wife, say like, okay, we have $20,000 in debt and student loans. Like, let's just kick butt, wait tables, Uber, whatever you got to do.
2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
If you have to.
Work really hard until you pay that off and then reevaluate.
Yeah.
Cause I would say we didn't even talk about marriage until he proposed. Because we both came from relationships that the boyfriend I had at the time was pushing about marriage and his girlfriend at the time was pushing for marriage. And so when we went to start dating, like we didn't want to mention it and, like feel like we were pressuring the other one. So we didn't even talk about it until we got married. But I never thought I would stay home. But like Leo was born and then I tried doing the full-time working and keeping Leo at home with me because I worked from home. And I was like, I can't because I feel like I'm split. Like I feel like I couldn't balance it. Plus, and I feel bad in case anybody who I used to work with listens to this, but I didn't love my job. I pretty actively disagreed with a lot of their practices of farming. And I was like, if I'm going to not be with my kid, I want that passion that Irene has. Like where like when she's doing it, she is fired up about it. She's passionate. She loves it. I was like, that is not this role.
Yeah.
So my husband, we discussed it and we're still figuring out day to day, but we're able to, build up our podcast. And I actually posted Leo's birth video on YouTube and it has like 500,000 views right now. And women reach out all the time for birth content. So like things are happening and growing, but we're still figuring it out. So
I like that you said that about being passionate about it.
and I want my kid to see me passionate about
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's lacking so much.
Yeah.
Your kids should see you loving what you do.
yeah,
And I
And
know my
failing
kids
at it,
My
too.
yeah, that's true.
failing and winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these early years in a business, for any business, are a sacrifice. It's just, I've never been the one running the company. This is the first for me. And so there have been a lot of days where I cry on the way to work, and then I put my makeup on in the car in the parking lot, and then I cry all the way home. But it's also a phase where I'm like, again, I'm only comforted because they're with their dad. But it's also, if you want things, you have to sacrifice. And we've sacrificed enough time that now we're able to take days like this. And I've got a wonderful crew. I can trust them with the business. They're running things for me. I'm not there. The business is bringing in income. So
Yeah.
a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
It doesn't go without.
But that's motherhood,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is. That's definitely on my list of videos to make is sacrificing.
Yeah.
Because people, they don't want to sacrifice anymore. They don't even try.
Yeah.
Self-love culture
it
of
is.
like,
It absolutely is. So
Well, this doesn't make me happy,
Yeah,
so I'm
so-
out. Bye. It's like,
yeah,
well,
it's like, well,
not every day is going to be a good day. Sometimes you just have to do it anyways.
yeah,
yeah. That's true.
yeah.
Well, I think that's great. There's one thing that I've heard. I don't remember if I heard both of you say it, but I've never heard any other mothers say this and to their children. And I've said it. I've said it to mine. I even taught my grandchildren to say, "I can do hard things." And I don't know. Was it you? I
think
heard you
so.
telling your son. You can do hard things. And I was like, whoa, I don't think I've ever heard any parent say that.
Yeah.
And can you, why did you tell it? Why do you
I
tell it? What do
actually
you mean?
picked it up from a friend of ours which goes to having a good village. And I heard her tell their kids that, and I was like, that's amazing, because you're speaking those words of like, hey, I know you don't want to do this, but you can. And if it's hard, you still
Yep.
can.
Exactly.
And I kind of stole that. And I think you've said it a few times, and then I kind of took it from my village and thought, that's good advice. I'm going to keep going. But my question is for you, at what age did they stop saying, but I don't want to do it? Or does that keep going indefinitely?
Pretty much indefinitely. Yeah. I still say it. I don't want to.
Yep.
It's too hard. I mean, even as a mom,
Yeah.
there would be days Dwayne would come home and find me crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard.
Yeah.
But you get up, the next day and you love it. But yeah, I just, I think it's such a strong statement, and I say it to myself.
Yeah.
Now
I
I'm
say
like,
it to myself all the time.
okay,
Yeah.
this is hard, but I can do hard things, and you really draw strength from just even the statement. I think so.
And another statement that kind of helps me push through, I got we had the same doula for our daughters. And I remember, you don't want to hear it when you're in labor, but she's like, hey, you can do anything for 1 minute. And I'm like, can I though? And that has struck too in my back of my brain. Like, hey, you can do this for 60 seconds. You can do anything for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, gives the push sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you really want to share?
I think I think for me, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. So I have that natural, I don't know, not a natural drive, because she's the baby of 7 and she has that drive too. I don't know what it is, but where you feel guilty for crying on the way to work, and it's okay. I would like to say to people,
There you go.
it's okay to feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Because if you squish them down too much, you're not going to be good at work, and you're not going to be good at home. You're going to be so inwardly holding it in that you're not going to give anybody your 100% when you're with them. And I know my husband said it to me before. He said, when you're at work, be at work. And when you're at home with the kids, just be mom. You are nobody else but mom.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And so that's been something I'm working on is
good.
when I'm with the kids, don't answer my phone unless it's truly an emergency at work. But when I'm at work, unless it's an emergency,
So
doesn't
separate
matter.
the two.
Try to separate
And,
the two. And it's hard to do when you're a mom, because even now I thought I heard a phantom cry, and I'm like, what's going on? Whose baby
Yeah,
is that?
I think I heard it too. So
I didn't hear nothing. Oops. Yeah. I would say
yeah.
maybe that, like, I don't know, I've done a lot of things. Like, we've toured around the country and also worked full time at the same time and on the weekends and stuff. And something I did not realize is being a stay-at-home mom is way harder than all of that.
yeah.
Like, it's great though.
It's really neat to hear you say that, because people out there will say that, and a lot of people, they're like, yeah, whatever. until you experience it, you don't know.
No.
But you've been there.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
You know,
And
that
you're
whole girl
saying-
boss thing, like, you know, people,
Yeah.
girl boss, like, I'm like, that was nothing compared to staying home. Because it's like,
It's a
there is no
different
sign
pressure.
off. Yeah, it's a different pressure.
There's a
Oh,
pressure
yeah.
too when I'm at work and I'm with employees or clients. It's like, well, at the end of the day, if this employee quits, you don't want him to quit, but okay. But at the end of the day, if I'm not where I need to be, or at least trying to be where I need to be as a mom, then this person is going to grow up to be a terrible human being. So the pressure is so much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parenting,
It
because you're
is.
literally responsible for what kind of person this
You are.
person
Yeah.
grows up to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, and you get to see the day-to-day growth. Like, I always thought people, like parents were lying when they were like, oh, they're just hungry. Oh, they just need a nap. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know they need those things? Now I can look at my kid and be like, she's hungry.
She's hungry. Or
yeah,
she needs
I
a
know.
nap. Yeah.
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 But you know them
You
day,
do.
like, you know their faces and their little features that change all
Yeah.
day in and day out. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's worth the hard work.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm only 11 months in, so maybe don't listen to me, listen to
Yeah.
these ladies. But
Yeah.
like,
And
it's
I
hard.
know if for the days that I do want to quit my job and I love it, I can't imagine being away from them and it not being something I love.
Yeah.
So if I was in her position, I probably would have quit too, because you really have to love what you do to
Yeah.
pull you, which at least
Well,
me,
that's-
pull me away from these babies that I made.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why, like, we prioritize, you know, doing things like this that our kids can see us do the hard work and invest in that, and taking time to edit the podcast, edit YouTube videos,
Yeah.
helping my husband and her husband with whatever content needs they need, like being able to serve the family in a different
Yeah.
way. It's just
Yeah.
a season, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
Now, your husbands have a podcast called
Chasing Mountains.
Chasing Mountains. Okay. So if you want to go look that up. But I look forward to listening to y'all on your podcast. I'm so glad that you guys came out and now we're friends.
Yeah.
And they're leaving tomorrow, so I'm sad, but it's been
We tried to stay. The husbands
it's
wouldn't
been
let
a
us.
joy. Yeah, we tried to get them to move here, and but anyway, this has been really, really nice. Thank you for all the great equipment. Everybody's gonna be like, "Whoa, Mama's moving up." This is a one-time thing. I'll be back on my little phone for the next video, but yeah, I'm just gonna try to get things rolling again, and you guys have given me that little push. So
Good.
So thanks.
Well, I hope you're encouraged that, like, we love your content and
Yes.
it's helping us as
Good.
moms in a different season than
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
you are to be like, okay, like
Yeah.
she, like the one time one of the episodes you talked about getting up and spending time with yourself and you
Right.
can't let yourself go.
Right.
You have to, like, not like in a self-care type, like a
Right.
self-help type of way, but I was like, oh, it was really nice to hear, like, oh, it's nice to know that I'm not the only one that, like, kind of like needs to, like, wash my hair. It's been like a week, like, you know,
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of thing, that
Yeah.
it wasn't just me. So it's really helpful, and you're really
Good.
Yeah.
encouraging women.
I'm really glad to hear it. It's hard when you're putting stuff out there and it's like nobody wants to hear this and this is not very good, and it's really encouraging. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
so thanks again, and subscribe, do all the things, the like and share it with other mamas if you
Yeah.
know some ladies out there that could use it, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you on the next episode, and it'll probably just be me, but we'll have coffee together. So in the meantime, make sure, as always, that you have grit and you give grace, and we'll talk to you guys next time.